The Life Coaching Toolbox Podcast is brought to you by Joeel and Natalie Rivera of Transformation Academy. In this episode, Natalie talks about, do you know what you really want? This episode is one of 6 episodes in a series about coaching your clients to rewrite their life story using the hero's journey.
We're going to get into what you want. Now, I'm going to acknowledge straight up that this is hard for a lot of people. So if you find yourself saying, I don't really know what I want, you are not alone. Now, there's also other people that have specific things that they're really sure that they want, but it's been so long since they've even really asked themselves what they want because they're just so used to life being the same that they never really questioned it. And so part of the reason why it can be challenging to really narrow down what you want is because we're constantly inundated by messages from, in childhood, starting with our parents and our families and our cultures and our schools and our friends. And then in adulthood, it's the media and all of these different sources of people that are constantly telling us what we should want. They're trying to influence us. And so when that's happening, our true desires are drowned out. Plus, there's probably things that you have wanted, but that you really didn't believe were possible. And so what happens in that situation is when you want something that you don't believe that you can have, it's painful. It hurts to not be able to have the thing that you want. And so a lot of times what happens to people is that they give it up. They settle. They stop thinking about it because it's too painful to look at if you don't believe that you can have it. But the good news is that your real dreams, they never die. They're still in there, deep within. And sometimes you probably still feel it tugging at your heartstrings. But it could be that you've gotten so good at ignoring it that you don't even notice that it's there anymore. So the first part of this activity, which again, we have a worksheet that you can download to work out these thoughts and really get to the core of what you want. The first part is about forgotten dreams. So there's 2 ways to look at this. One is, what do you really want? Without regard to other people's opinions and pretending that money isn't an issue or that whatever you have in your life right now that might be blocking you just magically disappears. If it was ideal, what would you really want? If you won $10 million tomorrow, what would you really want to do? So that's a great activity to really start getting your brain looking at what your true desires are. Another source of forgotten dreams is, what did you stop wanting that you used to dream of? So you can look back at your childhood, for example, and think, what did I want to be when I grew up? What are some of the things I always wanted to do? Or now, what are some of those dreams that you had that because life beat you down, you stopped allowing yourself to dream about? Write these down, and then it's important to look at them and really ask, is this something I still want? Because in some cases, the answer is no. Like, for instance, sometimes you can find something from childhood that you used to be passionate about that, you can bring back to life in your adulthood, and it can bring you a lot of pleasure and joy. But there's also things that you would have wanted back then that you're not interested in anymore, and that's okay. So you just want to be honest with yourself and take an opportunity to ask those questions. And so if you find that they're not things you really want anymore, just simply cross them out. But always keep your eye out for those ones that when you write down this specific desire, that you really feel strongly about it, because these are the most important things that we're trying to uncover here. So the next part of the activity is a lot of people's favorite, and that is asking yourself, what do I not want? Now, this is often a lot easier. I know that for a long time in my life, that's how I was. People would ask me what I want, and I was like, I don't really know. But I was really sure what I didn't want, and I could go through the whole list of all the things about the world that upset me and all the things I thought should be different and all the things that I was sure, like, I'm never going to do that. I'm so not interested. I knew for sure what I didn't want. It was hard to transition into being able to focus on what I did want. But the good news is that if you know what you don't want, that helps you know what you do want. And so the activity asks you to look at, what did you used to have in your life that you didn't want, you got rid of it, and you still don't want it? What's happening in your current life that you would like to get rid of? And then what are other things that you are just certain you do not want in your future? If you write these things down, then ask yourself, what is the opposite? If I don't want this, I do want, what is it? Because by looking at what you don't want, it helps you identify its flip side, and it helps you identify what you would want instead. It can be very powerful. So there's going to be some of you that when you do this activity, you just really still aren't sure, and that is okay. It's actually very common. And again, just by doing this activity, you're going to put your brain in the state where it's going to be searching for things that you want and that you like out in your daily life. So you might as well enhance that process by doing the following activity. When you're out and about in the world and you see something that you like, even something simple like, a cute bunny rabbit, just say yes. Say yes to anything in your life that you find that you like. And if it's something that you really like, you can say, yes, I want more of this. And then as you go around, when things happen or you see things, you can say no to them too. No, thank you. And the reason why you say thank you at the end is because it's an acknowledgement that by observing this thing that you do not want, it's helping you get more clarity about what you do want. So it's really great to be able to see clearly things you don't want so that you know that you're going to avoid them and that you're going to put your energy and attention towards other things and understand what you want. So again, yes, I want more of this, and no, thank you. So now it's time to get a little bit more specific about what exactly it is that you want. So throughout this program, you've looked at your roles, your identity, your beliefs, your ego states, what you want and don't want. You've changed some of your perspectives of the things that have happened. And so you should have a more clear idea at this point of the direction that you want to be going, some of the things that you want in your life. And so we're going to do a final activity that's going to help you rewrite that story in a more official way. But before you do that, it's important to put down the things that you want so that you know what to include in your new story. So in this activity, the last thing you're going to do is look at what you want in different categories of your life and then why you want it. And that's the most important part. So the categories are similar to what we've been using throughout the program, including, relationships, family, career, leisure, money, and health. Of course, you can always add your own categories. So again, write down in one column what you want, and then next to it, why you want it. And then we finish off the activity by looking at the deeper why beneath why you want it. The reason why we do this is because sometimes we don't really understand our own true motivations and motives, and that there's higher level needs and desires that are actually making us want certain things because we believe that those things are going to give us the outcomes we're looking for. So rather than just look at what you want, we're looking for the outcome that you believe you're going to receive by having that. And so the reason this is important is because those deeper level desires and needs are much bigger than what we want on the surface. And you need to have a big enough reason to create change. So if you're looking at things that are superficial, like I want to have nicer hair and I want a new car, those things are never going to be enough to motivate you and inspire you to change your life. You have to be coming from a deeper place. So that's what this activity is designed to do. And so here's an example of how to use this technique from somebody that we met at an event. So what you're going to do in this activity is continue to ask yourself why to each answer to the question why until you get to the core. So here's how it went with this woman. It was a business event and we were talking about, productivity and efficiency. And she comes up to us and she says, I can't wait to be able to apply these efficiency techniques. And we ask her, well, why is that? She said, well, because I'm really hoping to get a promotion. And I know that if I can be more efficient and more productive, I can work my way up. Well, why would you want a promotion? She said, well, because, at this point, I'd really like to make more. I want to get a raise. Well, why would you want to get a raise? She said, I'd like to have that extra money so that I can buy a larger home. Well, why do you want a larger home? And she says, well, because I'd love to be able to have my mother and my sister move in with me. Well, why would you want them to move in with you? And she said, because we've all always had a dream of living together. And I said, well, there you have it. That is your deeper reason why. You really don't care about the efficiency. You care about living together with your family. That is something that is enough to motivate you to actually put these efficiency techniques into practice. Whereas just to be more efficient is not a big enough reason why. So I hope that makes sense. So again, the goal is to get to the deeper motive or desire behind what it is that you want. And one last thing to note is that sometimes what's at the core of what you're looking for is actually an emotion. And we would actually say that in almost all cases, what you really want is the emotional state that you believe that having this thing that you want will give you. So if you can get to the core of that, then you really get to the core of your emotions. And so I know I said last thing, but I promise this is the last thing. If you really want to get clear on what you want, you have to get other people out of your head. So after you've done this entire activity, go back through it and read it one more time and just put a big X through anything that the reason why you want it is because other people tell you that you should. Because that's never going to make you fulfilled. And what we're looking for here is for you to know what you truly want out of life so that you can create a life story that is authentic to you and that is going to lead you towards living a life of fulfillment.
Visit transformationacademy.com/toolbox to download free life coaching worksheets that go with the activities discussed in this podcast, plus other resources for creating a thriving life coaching business.